Hey, what's up, everybody? Finally back at it. I have spent the last 2+ weeks fighting this god-awful flu that turned into a sinus and respiratory infection, and it's been rough. And as you can tell, I still don't have my voice completely back. That's been one of the worst parts for me. That and the ear infection that came along with it. I still can't completely hear out of my right ear, and it's driving me nuts. But G.I. Joe Classified, Wave 10, Dusty, Zarana, and the Crimson Guard. The last of the G.I. Joe Classified figures to be featured in the window boxes. Number 50. This is the last set of figures that'll be in these boxes. So we are saying goodbye to the window box and hello to the windowless packaging. We've already seen a few of the figures come in the windowless packaging. Kamakura being one, the Snake Eyes and Timber version 2 being another set, and Sergeant Slaughter. Not sure if we have another one in the windowless packaging yet or not, but that's what we'll have going forward. I'll be opening pretty much everything going forward. I don't know if I'm going to keep any of the figures in the boxes with the windowless packaging, but these I definitely will. I will put these into some protective cases. I've thought numerous times about opening just every single classified figure that I have and getting rid of all of these boxes. But I think with this being the last set, I think that I am going to keep that first run of 50 figures. And I know a few of those 50 figures don't come in these. They're special editions or deluxe type figures. But yeah, these are the last window boxes. So a little bit something a little bit special about Wave 10. We will open up all three of these figures, check them out. I am especially impressed and looking forward to Zarana. She is a fantastic looking figure on a newer female buck, and another one. I'm not really so excited about Dusty. Dusty was never one of my favorite characters. But the Crimson Guard. I always liked the Crimson Guard, and having this in a 6-inch, it's just icing on the cake. There's already 2 versions of this guy out. There is the regular series classified figure, and there is also the classified retro carded figure that's a little bit brighter red. I can already see right off the bat one thing that bothers me a little bit about this figure in particular, and that's a color differentiation between the torso and the rest of the body. It's a different type of plastic, so it's, of course, there's a possibility that it's not necessarily going to match up perfectly. But let's dig into these and see what they're all about. Since Dusty is my least favorite of Wave 10, we'll go ahead and open him up. Again, with the color differentiation between the torso and the other parts of the body, and the fact that it doesn't look right to me with all the, and it's kind of like if you're familiar with the FN Scar rifle, it just reminds me a lot of the FN Scar rifle. The different FDE colors, or the desert tan. You've got more of a yellow look with the legs and the arms, and then the elbow joints and knee joints and the torso are all a different color. Man, they actually had that problem with a couple of Transformers figures that they came out with recently. A lack of uniformity in the product color, and it's bothersome to me. I think that they could have done a better job than they did. So turn this off while I pop everything out of the plastic. Out of the box, it doesn't look quite as bad as what it did through the window. The joints are very tight. I've seen where some people have had issues and needed to really heat Dusty up in order to articulate these joints. This figure's a little cold. I haven't had any issues moving anything. I was careful. One of the things that I want to point out here, the wrist articulation on this hand is basically unusable due to the sleeve that comes all the way down, and on this hand, the wrist and hand does move appropriately, but for this one, it's pretty much useless. It's kind of pointless to be there. But this torso color being so much lighter than the rest of the plastic, and the rest of the plastic being almost yellow. This would be the appropriate color, in my opinion, a more tan look, not so much the yellowish tan out here on the arms and legs. This is a separate piece here that's part of the web gear, and you have a web gear piece here as well on top of the torso, almost like a load-bearing setup. And let's take a look at the backpack. It's very similar to the original Dusty Figures backpack. There's one thing that I want to address here in a few minutes on these latest classified figures. It's somewhat bothersome to me. It's not a deterrent away from the line. It's just something that's bothersome to me and my preferences for the figure line. You have the helmet. The original Dusty had a soft goods or cloth, kind of a scarf. I don't remember exactly what that's called, around the back part of his helmet. I saw a lot of figures that like that either had been taken off or cut off or removed or something, or it just looked ragged. So I can, kind of see why they went away from a soft goods on this, but they could have easily done it if they really wanted to stick to that retro look, because having it be made of plastic is just a little odd to me. Now, the figure's helmet does go on well. I had seen a lot of photos where it looked like the helmet was hard material and set way up on the head, and it doesn't. You can push that down and it looks correct. It looks to be of a correct height. It looks like it's almost too soft though, and will pop back up. And I think that a lot of the photo shoots that are done are by people who don't really know anything about the product that they are shooting. And we've seen all kinds of things from like Storm Shadow's hood being put on incorrectly, or rifles not necessarily being held the way that they're intended to be by the figures. But the helmet does look good on the figure if it'll just stay down, and that might either take a little bit of pressure, a little bit of heat, something to kind of reform it a little bit, or you could put a little piece of 3M double-sided adhesive in there and stick it down if you wanted to display the figure with the helmet on in its appropriate position. Now, Dusty did come with a boot knife, and we'll get that into the sheath here, see how that fits right there. And it does fit, even though that sheath is pretty deformed. The knife really doesn't go the full length, so it only sticks into the straight part. It's kind of odd, I think. What have I done here? Did we get 2 sets of goggles with this figure? It looks like we did. It looks like we have a set of goggles that will go over the helmet and a set of goggles just for the figure's face. Why? Why do we need that? Why do we need 2 sets of goggles? Does one go in the other? Nope. Kind of an unnecessary little accessory. Yeah, 1 set of goggles is actually meant to be on this helmet, and the other set is meant to be on the figure's face. I guess to give you just different display options, but we can go ahead and put these on the figure's head, down over his eyes, like so, and then have the helmet on. That just looks weird, man. I don't care for that at all. And honestly, I think that including 2 sets of goggles is kind of a waste. They could have done something a little better than 2 sets of goggles. Maybe make the goggles with an elastic band or something to switch between the helmet and the figure's face. I think that, again, yeah, that's kind of a waste. I think Dusty overall is, he's not poorly done, just the choice of accessories is not the best for this figure. The figure looks all right, though. I do especially like the FAMAS, but why are we getting away from displaying or having the firearm, the rifle, in the packaging with the magazine inserted, and instead including the magazine in its own little compartment like it's an additional accessory. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. But this will kind of rock and lock right in there. And it does have a good tight lockup. So a FAMAS is a bullpup style of rifle. And they did include the bipod and everything that would have been with the original figure. And let's see if we can get him kind of geared up here a little bit. Yeah, please excuse the failing voice. Yeah, his hand does not fit that very well. Check that out. It really pulls on the finger there. But at least, unlike some of the other figures that I've reviewed, not G.I. Joe, a different brand, when the finger is moved or the hand is moved, you don't get stress marks like it's going to break apart. So that's pretty much it for Dusty. I'm not the biggest fan of this figure. I probably would only have gone out of my way to purchase this figure to be a completionist. On to the Crimson Guard, again with the color differentiation on the torso versus the arms and legs. At least the knees and elbows match up well with the arms and legs, unlike with Dusty. Dusty just was a very not well done figure, in my opinion. Somebody needs to cast that head to use with a Cobra Trooper body and make the Traitor. So you do have the nice leather texture here to the boots, the painted buckles, cross, and the cool silver paint apps, the silver on reds. This is a pretty good nod to the original 1985 Crimson Guard, which seems to be what we're doing with Classified now. The Classified line is basically just everything that we've already gotten rehashed in a 6-inch scale. One of the things that they have done that I do like is the inclusion with the Crimson Guard of a sword accessory and the backpack being able to store a couple of other accessories. Again, like with Dusty, they had the magazine packaged as if it was an additional accessory, whereas before, the detachable magazines were not treated as such. They were just inserted into the guns, and there we go. This one is different even than some of the rest, I think. The locking mechanism appears to be a little bit different. The magazine appears to be a different style. Why would they change that? Why would they not have any consistency at all between the magazines that they're including with the guns? I mean, this is an M16. It's more like an M4, maybe. It looks like it might be an A2 top. Yeah, it's an M16. That's what we'll call it for all intents and purposes, with a bayonet. A non-detachable bayonet. This bayonet does not come off. So the original Crimson Guard actually came with a rifle that was patterned after the AK-47. I'm not sure why they would change it over to the M16 and give Sergeant Slaughter an AK-47 when they should have given this rifle, the American rifle, to Sergeant Slaughter. There's just little things that are starting to bother me about the way that the Classified line's being handled. They're trying, but they're just coming up a little bit short of the mark on some of these things. So let's see. That's not how that goes. Apparently, that is. So the sword in the scabbard, and you actually have a little witness window here where you can see through. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. Probably to let air out in case it really is that tight, if you have that tight of a fit. And this attaches to the side of the backpack for storage. I would have preferred it to not be mounted backwards on the backpack. That looks a little weird, but I mean, it seems to me as though it should have been, and I know it seems like I'm complaining a lot. I'm really not. It should have been mounted like this, because effectively the person wearing it would reach back like this to grab it and draw it forward. Or this should have been, the scabbard should have actually been mounted here on the figures. Hey, here we go. So that's just one place that it can mount. Thankfully, let's see, is there a hole in the waist? No, there's not a hole in the waist, but check it out. It does mount here. So that makes me a little bit happier with it. The fact that it does go onto the figure's side. It does mount to the belt. That's a plus, a definite plus. It'll also mount into that. That mounting point, other accessories from different figures could also mount into that. They use the same size lug and mounting hole. So then you have the drop down thigh holster for the what appears to be a SIG or kind of, I don't know what that is. Maybe a 1911, patterned after a 1911. So again, why would a Crimson Guard have a 1911 and an M16 instead of com block style weapons? And then you have the large knife that goes in this sheath over here. All geared up, all around. I do actually like this figure quite a bit, even though, like I said, much like the rest of the classified line has become, it's just a rehash of everything that we've already gotten. And then the M16, you see that square hole in the trigger guard? You see this square peg right here? The M16 mounts right to the backpack for storage. This is one of the things that I really enjoyed about the classified line early on. The backpacks were made so that all of the accessories could be stowed on the figure. The figure could actually carry everything effectively on their backpack like a backpack is intended to be used. Please excuse my voice. It seems to be failing even more now. It's like the more I talk, the worse it gets. So let's go ahead and get all of the gear taken off of the Crimson Guard. I'm looking forward to Gridiron Studios coming out with something for this guy. Coming out with something for the Crimson Guards. They usually do a pretty good troop loadout, character loadout. Hey, that 1911 actually fits into the holster and onto the floor really well. Check out what they've done to Zarana. So, yes, it is reminiscent of the ARAH Dreadnoks figure, but they also updated her. They gave her some nice updates. I really dig this figure. The hair and face being the main thing. I like this animation style even, this comic book art style here on the spine of the box. It's neat, whatever. And you have the, we'll get into the accessories here in a minute. But it's reminiscent of the ARAH era and still adds an update as the classified series should. Unlike Dusty, there's no real update. What are they doing here? There's only one piece of tape across the bottom of all these boxes now. And same thing with the top. They're only using one piece of tape. That's interesting. Haven't really noticed any of that with the other figures. Get this popped open here. Throw this piece of shit away. And there we go. So, interestingly enough, she does not have the Dreadnoks background. And it's been confirmed by creators of the character that she was a Dreadnok. She's also the sister of Zartan, leader of the Dreadnoks. Zarana should be a Dreadnok. So come on, guys. Pick up the ball. Stop dropping it. You did a good job on the figure. Stop missing the mark with perfection. It's just, I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's like, for some reason, they are just coming up a little bit short on some of these things, or they'll get something wrong. If you're going to rehash everything that we've already gotten just in 6-inch scale, which if you want to, I'll give a real honest opinion that people probably are going to like on that. So I'm going to pop this little lady out of the tray and we'll give her a good looking over. With this figure, they've knocked it out of the park. She is absolutely fantastic. From the torso articulation to the double jointed elbows, the butterfly joints, the small frame, they really, really knocked it out of the park with this buck. Check out the boots. You've got the leather cowboy style boots, nice and molded. I would have liked to have seen some color apps down here on these flame applications, on the molded flames. I think the boots could really be brought to life by adding some color apps there. Not skin toned. I probably would have gone with a skin tone under this and not just like pink tights, but whatever. I believe that the original Zarana figure had skin tone showing through the rips in her pants. But color apps on the chains. You've got pocket details on the pants. The leather pads are painted. I mean, this is a really, really good looking figure. You've got the fishnet arms, the arm guards, and whatnot. You have these shoulder pauldrons that they have leather straps that are supposed to be, like holding them on. And it's a really, really good looking figure. You also have the bicep articulation underneath those shoulder pauldrons. I mean, she's a really good looking figure. Let's pop the hair off, which I'm going to say I absolutely love the look of this mullet. It's a more modern look, and this figure does feature earrings as well. But she has this modern looking mullet, and I think that it just really sets the figure off and looks fantastic for the punk aesthetic. The other shitty looking hair that they gave her, I always hated Zarana's hair. I thought it looked stupid. This looks equally as dumb. I just don't care for it. This hairdo does not look good on the figure. I understand why they included it, because all the old heads, they want the exact same shit that we already got. All the old heads, it's not an A-Raw enough. But here we go. A really good looking classified figure. I like that hairdo. And she has enough aesthetic from the original 80s figure that she is still appealing. Now, her backpack goes right on. And then we have, of course, that painted strap there. They did a really good job on this figure. I'm real happy with how they did it. I don't know what this is. It's like a hot knife or something. I don't know how it's supposed to go in. I guess like this. Yeah, it goes in there like that. It's like some kind of steampunk electric knife with a heated blade and whatever. Kind of cool. She has a dagger that goes right in here. And she has this badass assault rifle with a full flat top rail. This thing looks really good. There is a real life equivalent to this. I believe it is a SIG. I think SIG makes it, maybe the MMX. But then the underbarrel mount of the saw blade. I think that's a really cool addition. And then we get to the magazine, which is, yet again, inconsistent. At least they're consistent with their inconsistencies. That's probably not going to swap out between this gun and any of the others. And, they only include one, so it's not like it really makes a big deal that it's detachable. It's just one of the shortcomings that Hasbro has on these GiJoe classified figures lately. You're going to give us detachable magazines for what purpose? What purpose do these have? I don't know if the Gridiron Props magazines will fit these guns or not. I would hope so. I don't have any handy at the moment to check and see, but they have extra magazines, and their magazines work across all their platforms. It just seems like they kind of leave that up to a variation of design on these GiJoe classified figures, and only including one as a some type of they're packaging it as a special accessory now, like it's a featured accessory. Like, just stick it in the gun and then give us an extra. Like, if you really want to make little magazine changes on your 6-inch figures, we need extras to do that with. Maybe even like an accessory pack with just weapons, just a weapons pack that comes with a bunch of magazines and different ARs and M16s and AKs. But anyway, here she is in all of her greatness. Like I said, they really did an awesome job on this figure. Even with the minor shortcomings, she could use a couple paint apps, but hey, whatever. This figure looks great. I hope they continue to use this buck or this style of construction for female characters going forward. The double jointed elbow really is a win. Something Marvel Legends needs to acknowledge. You know, they have it. They're just not using it. They're just using the hell out of old bucks and probably going to use them until the tooling just doesn't work anymore. Coming up on the end. All right, guys, thanks for joining in with the unboxing and review of Wave 10 from the G.I. Joe Classified line. If you have stuck with me this far, then I'm sure that you're probably interested in hearing this opinion of the G.I. Joe Classified line that I have. And as we come up on the end of the window box era with Wave 10, G.I. Joe Classified started out as something that was going to be an update to the G.I. Joe mythos, an update to the G.I. Joe brand, the line, everything as a whole, and all of the very vocal collectors threw a crying fit because it didn't look exactly like 1985. They got mad because everything wasn't literally everything that we've gotten numerous times over, just in 6-inch scale. I get it. The stuff sells. That stuff, it ain't bringing in no new blood. New blood is what G.I. Joe really needs to succeed. What G.I. Joe really needs to, in my opinion, what it really needs to become a big, viable line again. We all want to point out all of the shortcomings and everything that Hasbro does with G.I. Joe, but we're not taking into consideration that it doesn't matter what they do. There's a very vocal group of people who are never satisfied with anything. I wish that they would just shut the fuck up and go away. I understand voicing an opinion. I'm all for that. I'm all for voicing an opinion. I'm all for everyone being able to have an opinion. But some of you think that your opinions are valid when they really aren't. It sucks, man. I hoped that with G.I. Joe Classified, we could get a whole new line of figures. Now, they have the retro carded line. If Walmart can just squeeze those out onto the shelves in a timely manner, or at least ship them out without trashing them. Save all of this stuff, all of the like straight up rehashed figures. Save all of that stuff for the retro line. Make a color and accessory update. Yeah, I'm gonna kick my camera around. Make a color and accessory update for the Classified series. Give them a more modern take, like with Zarana. They could have just as easily given us this updated Zarana, and then in the retro carded line, they could have given us Zarana with a different hairdo, with a more 1980s action figure hairdo. They could have made her look more 80s for that and given her this more modern look for the Classified line. They didn't have to include that as an accessory. They could have given us an extra magazine instead of the stupid wig. And that's like the Crimson Guard. It's literally the same figure, but with a silver face mask for the retro carded line. I get it. It's a way to maximize profits. But Dusty? There's different versions of Dusty that could have been a lot better than this. This version of Dusty sucked as an O-ring figure, and it sucks as a Classified figure. It sucked in every other version that they made of it as well. And then you get into the artwork, and it's like the people making the artwork don't even have a fucking clue what it is that they're drawing. You have this figure, you have this character holding this rifle. Check out where his hand is gripping. His hand is gripping behind the magazine. Here's the magazine. I'm going to keep hitting that with my knee, apparently. Here's the magazine right here, and here's the figure's hand on the grip. That's not a FAMAS. That's not, well, it looks like a FAMAS, but that's not where you hold it. They've got him holding the magazine with his hand behind the actual grip where the trigger is. And then whatever this is over here, it's just little things like that bother the hell out of me. They shouldn't. I should just, it's a kid's toy, blah, blah, blah. Classified's not a kid's line. Classified's geared to the 40-year-old nerds that are still buying this shit. The 40-year-olds that still collect the figures from our childhood and whatnot. And to the guys that are looking to reinvigorate that. But all in all, Wave 10, at least Zarana and the Crimson Guard, they're cool figures. Zarana is the winner by far. She is the best of the three. The Crimson Guard troop builder aspect, that's pretty cool too. I'm glad that they released a Crimson Guard, and especially in the last of the window boxes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell. Check out the description for links to all kinds of stuff, Facebook groups, Amazon sales, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of cool stuff that will be of interest and use to you at some point. Anyway, thanks for watching. Yooo Joe.